I really didn't want to make this video. I thought that I would be spending a week playing Pokemon Violet. But, yeah. I gotta, eat some crow here, and I gotta talk about this game. Um, this is gonna be more of a rant rather than a well thought out video. I'm just talking to camera. But I'm gonna first stand by my previous video statement that this is a good game. This is a good game. But there are glaring flaws in it. And I want to talk about those because I don't want someone to look at the last video and be like, oh, he's crazy. There were some lies that, reviews said. But it's getting more evident why this game has problems. And it's not just the graphical issues, but let's start with those. When I first started playing the game, before I made the last video, I didn't have any issues with the graphical problems or, whatever was popping up for everybody. I was lucky. I was very lucky that it was functioning properly. And I was going all over the place. I wasn't losing artifacts. Things weren't overlapping. And it really seemed like, oh, this is an over-exaggeration, because I saw the video on Twitter where it was just like, hey, look at this bridge. That's nothing. And, that's kind of the tough part. And I really wish people would stop watching that stuff before actually playing the game. Because this game is very playable. It is playable. The graphical issues are annoying. They're very annoying. I haven't had stuttering, but just weird things happen. Like the camera goes off of me. And it hasn't really affected gameplay. It usually happens, like, say, when you catch a Pokemon, you defeat a gym leader, defeat Team Star, defeat a Titan Pokemon. Nothing really in gameplay that affects it. Not so much that you shouldn't buy this game. It's still a great story, and I'll get into the positives later. But, I'm saying a lot of buts today. How do I put this? Everyone's saying Gamefreak and Pokemon Company are lazy. It's not laziness. It's not laziness. It's greed. It is absolute greed. This is one of the biggest franchises in video game history. And they put it out at this time before the holiday season to make more money. They should have waited. They really should have. They should have fixed the graphical issues. They should have, tweaked gameplay. But no, they wanted the holiday money. When this game was first announced, Violet and Scarlet, everyone was like, wow, we're getting another Pokemon game at the end of the year. After we had Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, then Pokemon Legends, Arceus. There shouldn't have been a new Pokemon game. And the whole world was shocked if you're into Pokemon. Like, wow, we're blessed. We're going to get another game. This doesn't feel blessed. This is actually making me very upset. Even because it is a good game, it has a good story. There are elements of this game that really need to continue. But the final product, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And it's remind me of Pokemon X and Y. Going into this game, I started playing Pokemon X right beforehand. I've never played it before. I bought it months ago. Simply because I haven't played that game. I've played everything in the series but X and Y. And I remember why I didn't want to play it. Because I heard that this was a fundamental game change for the 3DS. But it didn't make sense for those who would play it. And it's given me that feeling because if you haven't ever played Pokemon X and Y, it's a really simple game. They're trying to introduce new features just like Legends and Violet and Scarlet, and it's overly simplified. So if you have been a long-time player, it gets very annoying. And I have been very annoyed with a lot of the explanations in this game because I am a more advanced player. And, it really hurts the game because, like I said, this is a good story. This is a very good story. They have good gameplay features. Um, I wanted to wait to the end of that, but I'm just throwing it in there. But it's hindered based upon this huge problem that Game Freak has, Pokemon Company has. They have two sets of players. Brand new players who don't know how to play Pokemon, and then veterans like me, older players who have played for a very long time and can pick up on gameplay right away. And this game tries to appease both sets of players, and it doesn't. It probably leads to the graphical issues. And again, since Game Freak, Pokemon Company were greedy, they pushed this out way too soon. This could have waited another 6 months. We had Legends. Like, we didn't need a new Pokemon game. There are lots of Pokemon games to play out there. And you can, if you're like me, you can always go back. So, yeah. Game Freak needs to start deciding what games are for what players. When I first got the Switch, I got, Let's Go Pikachu. And I hated that game. That game was horrible for me. It was too simplified. Graphics weren't great. I barely played it. But I gave it to my brother and his kids love it. That's a game for younger players. Now, would I suggest Pokemon Legends to younger players? No. No, I would not suggest that game. And now, because they have such a broad base of, players, Game Freak and Pokemon Company need to start deciding where their games are going. Yes, you can have simplified graphics for younger players. I mean, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they were ugly as all hell. It was designed for little kids. Whereas Pokemon Legends, that was better. That was a lot better. I'm not saying it was great graphics, like a lot of games. Some games are just downright beautiful. But that was more advanced. And then you look at the gameplay. Again, Let's Go Pikachu, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. That's very simplified. Pokemon Legends, you're attacked by Pokemon. You can black out. There is some urgency in what you're doing. That is for an older crowd. And Game Freak needs to start deciding. Game Freak, Pokemon Company, I'm not really sure the difference, but they need to start deciding what games are for who. And that would vastly improve the system. Now, I know I've seen online a lot of people blaming the Switch's, tech specs. And I'm not sure that's what it is. I really do believe it's greed. That, it's greed and not making a decision of, this is for older players or this is for younger players. Those two things really clog up the system. And we've seen this with other games before. That, we're just going to put it out there. We're going to get the money right away. And how do I put this? Without going too far into economics, this is a time that most businesses want to see a boost in sales. And, that's why you put something out right now, even if it's not ready. And this game is just not ready. And this is coming from someone who actually enjoys playing the game. It's just not ready. It should have been a few months later. But boost of sales, Christmas season, that's why this came out now. And Switch problem. And I highly doubt that Nintendo is going to just up the features of the Switch. I think they are more prepared to create a new system. That's typically what's worked for them. Usually, the last experiment they had with just an updated the system was kind of the Wii U, and that failed horribly. They really don't do incremental changes that well, especially for the larger consoles. I know that some people would be like, well, they did, the Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, but that took years. The original Game Boy was out for almost a decade before the Game Boy Pocket came. So I don't see a Switch Pro coming out. I see them trying to change up the game. So where am I going with this? I'm not too sure. Like I said, this was a rant. This was a rant, and some big changes need to happen at Gamefreak and Pokemon to fix the problem that they're just not willing to admit. They think that it can make a game for everyone, and that's not going to happen anymore. I'm 37 and I've played since the first game. I know how to play Pokemon. Unless there's some drastic movement change or change in the controller, you don't really need that much explanation for me. And I would like better graphics. I would. Like, if you look at Pokemon cards, they're gorgeous. If you look at, Pokken Tournament, again, beautiful graphics on Pokemon. This really does seem like a money grab, releasing Pokemon Violet and Scarlet at this time. And I wish, as a community, we were better at showing with our wallets, but we are kind of a community that just goes with whatever. And they'll keep doing it until we stop. So I know this was rambling on, and I'm a little annoyed that I had such a great initial experience and then I have to come back and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Like, I'm now having graphical issues as I get further in the game and it gets more complicated. I really wanted to wait the week and do a full review. I still might. This is definitely not the video I wanted to make today or even publish, but yeah. That's what's going on. I hope that you found this informative. If you've watched to the end, you're still an amazing person. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.